Chasing Legends, I'm Wayne Tuttle, be your host once again. Welcome back to Chasing Legends. Once again, I'm Wayne Tuttle and I'm your host. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bells, leave a comment if you want to. Pretty much like or answer all of them that we possibly can. I don't think we've ever given anybody a thumbs down. But go to the About section. You'll see the Dutch Hunter Rendezvous, the Legend of Superstition Mountain t-shirts, black, gray, short sleeve, long sleeve. Pretty much awesome. Got that stuff all in. This last week was a busy week. It was the 15th of March, which means it's the Eyes of the March. And we had the Treasure Hunter of the Year awards. Our recipients this year were Keith Furland and Chuck and Judy Backus. The first time we had an induction for two people. And went very well. In fact, I believe every living member of that group was there, except with the exception of Clay Worst. Clay decided at the last minute he didn't want to attend. Health reasons, health concerns. He is fine, he is well, but he just did not want to be in the crowd. And we had a very large crowd. We filled the place up. It was very nice, but seeing everybody, including Mr. Bob Corbin was there with us. So it was kind of nice. If Clay would have made it, I think we would have had every single living inductee there with us. This year, one of the things we introduced, we have some plaques that will be going up in the museum. And each of these plaques will go under will be the 12 inductees, and they will be going up in the Goldfield Museum. There will be 3 plaques, 12 each of the hosts. So we'll be taking those, and that'll be a very nice thing. So we kind of talked about those at the time. But additionally, this year, we put out the ballots for the Veterans Committee. Under each of these plaques will be another plaque that has 12 names that will be Veteran Committee members, people who no longer have family, haven't been around. An example would be someone like Adolph Ruth, Reinhard Petrasch, and those people will be inducted. So we'll be releasing that next year when the plaque goes up. But those will go under these plaques. Very interesting thing with the Treasure Hunter of the Year awards is that it was established in 1993, which is about the same time that the museum left Goldfield Ghost Town and established its own museum. Today, the Superstition Mountain Museum. Before that, it kind of was side by side at Goldfield Ghost Town with the Goldfield Museum. So literally, the Superstition Mountain Museum as it exists today is about the same age as these awards. So they've become more and more where we see this as literally the Hall of Fame of Dutch Hunters and the Lost Dutchman Mine. And that will be finalized this coming next year. What we will do each year is have the ballots of the remaining people brought out for the Veteran Committee members, which are those who have been inducted before, and they will vote again on the next person. So each year we will be inducting from here on out the person for the next year. So there will be the 31st person will be off this list from this year, and their name will be on a plaque, and we will announce that last year. Pretty nice to see the ballots. Not surprising, but a bit surprising. You always think people are going to go in so many different ways, and it was pretty much just straight down the line. It was very simple. I mean, I was kind of thrown off just a little bit that everyone kind of just voted right together on the same people at the same time. I believe of the 31 people, they were basically voting for 30 this year, but we figured if the numbers showed that 31st, whoever had the most votes would be the 31st. I was just a bit surprised because they had 70, 80 people to vote from, and then there were write-ins. So, but it was pretty consistent. Everybody was pretty much on the same page. So I think that's a definite working situation. So you'll find these. I forgot to leave them with shoes. I brought them home. And there was a few of the, we wanted them to be in the induction orders on the plaques. So I actually had to kind of change them around a little on all 3 plaques. They didn't quite have them in sync. But we got that done, so all that will be installed this year, and you'll be able to see that in that corner where it says Lost Dutchman Hall of Fame, and these plaques will be there prominently exhibited with a plaque explaining some of this and all. I was tempted to change the Treasure Hunter of the Year award because it's been the In the Wind Award, it's been called the Dutch Hunter Award, the Mountain Man Award. It's had these different names associated with it. I was kind of wanted to pull the plug and just say call it the Hall of Fame, but I thought we should stick with the actual true legacy and the description of what it would be. But thank you so much, Salvador de Gadillo, for 30 years ago coming up with this idea concept, and it still lives on. That being said and done, news that I would like to say, but I forget dates. I don't know about you, but I forget dates, and I know the dates right there in my mind, so I will announce at this time, as I scroll through, I'm so well prepared. November 5th, 6th, and 7th. No, 4th, 5th, and 6th. November 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2022 will be the Dutch Hunter Rendezvous. So we have that date in the can with the Dons of Arizona. I kind of got that all reserved, and we kind of worked that out. So just after Halloween, it seemed the weather seems to be kind of getting cooler in that time period. We had a lot of hot rendezvous, but that'll be just kind of following Halloween in that time period. There was a couple groups ahead of us there that had already been wanting to reserve stuff, but that seems to fit in best. Another thing, and I don't have it here with me, but I will be talking about it on our next time. Jesse Feldman has just released another book, and I will be doing a review. Now the thing is, Jesse got me the book, I've been reading it, and I got through the book. But I want to read it a second time at a little slower pace. I always do that because when I talk about it, I want to be very familiar with it. And it's not necessarily critique it or say, oh, I disagree with him and this and that. I want to have it kind of in my head of what I really thought about it. We've done those. We did John Victor Ramsey's Quest for the Peraltas. We did Ron Feldman's autobiography and books like that. I always hope it helps sell or helps these guys out and move some of these copies. So please purchase these. Jesse's book right now is currently available at Goldfield Ghost Town, the Superstition Mountain Museum, and down at the OK Corral gift shop. So if you want to pick up a copy, and if Jesse's around, I'm sure, if you pick up a copy and want to run down and have him sign it, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to. So thank you very much, Jesse, for getting me a copy right out of the gate there and all, and signing it for me. But thank you so much. Returning the favor for that. Definitely will be reviewing the book and a little comparative analysis, because that was what I wanted to do, because it's kind of an edited kind of version of the first book he wrote, Jacob's Trail, but it's different. So, and so far what I'd have to say is I like it very much, but we'll do a full review on that later. So that being done, we got the Victory Club and we have all that. We have the Rendezvous and we had Jesse Feldman. Talk about the two people we inducted very briefly here, and later this week we're hoping to have some video footage as a bonus of the Treasure Hunter of the Year awards, so people get to see all that stuff. But the two people that received the awards for the basically Treasure Hunter of the Year, Man of the Year, was Keith Furland, a good friend to a number of people, very, very good friend and partner and companion, and just out there everywhere in the mountains with Tom Collenborn. So Keith, awesome guy, very quiet, very reserved. I think he shows up most of the Treasure Hunter of the Year awards. He comes out. We get to see each other quite a bit at those type of events. I really enjoy getting to spend some time. He's very quietly soft-spoken. So it was nice to see someone like that get the award that's not as prominent. You don't see him on a TV show or see his book or this or that or everything else. But he deserved it very, very much, and a gentleman at that, if nothing else. The other two people, a wonderful couple that I've gotten familiar with over the last 20 years. Chuck and Judy Backus, who own the Quarter Circle U Ranch. Chuck and Judy have always been very, very good to the Dutch hunters and the treasure hunters that come out. I find it hard to believe that they continue to be so nice, because they have no interest in what we have. They run a cattle ranch. They have a business. They are into preserving history and so forth, but they kind of see us, I would think, Chuck and Judy would be much nicer than us, but I think they see us as a bunch of nutballs for the most part. But I've always been very happy and gone out there. Probably the TV show, some of the best times I remember while we were filming was the time we spent on the Quarter Circle U. It was kind of a home away from home, and we spent a lot of time out there. with the caretakers, Dean and Chris, and Judy and Chuck were so nice in letting us utilize that as kind of a base area. And I mean, when you're out and you're spending 6 weeks filming and stuff, you're kind of torn from the normalcy of life of what you would normally do. You were thrown out with a lot of people you don't know, you're not very familiar with, and you know, all of them were just so awesome. But you know, it was so great to be able to sit there on the porch and have that moments alone and sitting around with old Gus and Spike and Patches, and you know, spending time with the dogs. So getting to hang around and, you know, play with the dogs and sit around the ranch and all made it probably very bearable. So, and that's a big part of thank you to Chuck and Judy for always accommodating so many of us for the rendezvous for many years. And perhaps again, we'll find an opportunity to do that. They allowed us to come out, tour the ranch, and we learned from Jack Carlson, the author, who got special recognition last year, of how the ranch processes cattle and so forth, and some of the history. Hopefully we'll sometime sit down with Chuck and be able to do a bit of a long form little short film or video of Chuck talking about the history, and a lot of the history of when he purchased the ranch in the late 70s till today, because that would be very interesting. The purchasing in the modern 20th and 21st century of a cattle ranch and how it operates and whatnot. And they go through a very Yellowstone type thing. If you watch the television show, there's always encroachment, people that would like to move them out. And so Chuck and Judy, you know, pretty much living that dream, having an operating cattle ranch in the Superstition Mountains, and the legacy that goes from everybody for the last 100 and some odd years. Trying to think of how long it's been. That ranch has been out there probably close to 150 years, if not more. So very, very much. But it was, those people were very deserving of those awards last night, or not last night, but Tuesday night. We're a few days extended beyond that. So congratulations to all of them and their families and everybody who came out. It was wonderful seeing them. It was great seeing all the people I saw and getting to spend the time with them at Goldfield Ghost Town. Thank you to Cowboy Dan and the Mammoth Saloon for serving us up food and taking care of us while we were all there. And like I said, it was a packed house. So it was very, very nice. Everybody gets very quiet. And it was a nice program. I think it gets better each year and so forth. Heading for the rendezvous, Jesse Feldman, just speaking of that and kind of bringing it all together there, is Jesse said he would like to be the guest speaker this year at the rendezvous concerning his book and so forth. So let's make that a big success. When I do the review, we'll put up information. Hopefully we'll get even further information where you can find it, and support Jesse on that and all, and then we'll have a great rendezvous. We got a few other things we want to unpack special for it when we get closer to it, but very nice thing. And thank you again to the Dons of Arizona for always giving us that wonderful space for the last 18, 19 years we've been able to use. So that being it, and you're saying, well, wow, there's a lot unpacking. This is like the news thing. You know, I should need a ticker taper down here. Urgent news, update news, you know, which there's a lot of that anymore in the world. We're coming down to the close of the season. And the next couple of months, things are going to start shutting down. I think next weekend it'll be up into the 90s. So we're starting to come around to where the heat's coming back. And the trips will change and everything. And there's still filming to be done on Trevor's film project, which will be announced this spring as we get to it. There's stuff to be done and finished up on the Legends stuff and how we want to do that. I'm going to, I kind of want to sometimes do stuff in Chasing Legends, but I have to remember there's also stuff we're doing and we're unboxing it in much larger form in those episodes. So I think you'd much rather have an episode or two of 40 minutes than rather 15, 20 minutes of me talking it here, plus the footage of what we were doing. One of those things that we will be doing, just to kind of give you a sneak peek, is the hieroglyphic stone that was up in Hieroglyphic Canyon. Was at the temple, the Latter-day Saints temple in Mesa for many years, 70 or 80 years. And we found where it actually had come from. We found the documentation. The newspaper articles never say it came from the Superstition Mountain. Always said it came from Hieroglyphic Canyon. And I always had a question of how did they get that thing out of there? And as I started kind of going through that and trying to peel away at it, I came up with a lot of things, and a very surprising end to that. So, but we want to do that properly so you kind of get the real sense and the people involved. So, there was just more than myself. It was myself taking and starting to run with something. And definitely other people, especially one person, definitely jumped in and joined in and kind of running beside me and kind of got in his own lane. So those are kind of some of the things, definitely with the spiral staircase and the Burns Ranch and a lot of things. We spent so much time out there putting things together, and then there were loose ends and things we had to kind of wrap up. So we're just looking for a couple little trips, get all that wrapped up, and hopefully what you'll have this summer is that independently of all of this film, which I think everybody's going to like. The people involved with it can't wait to see it. They've been talking about it. You'll see the Legends episodes, which are going to be awesome again. The last one we did, I know, is up in 40,000 views, and it's done very well. But I think people are looking forward to that stuff, and we'll see where all that stuff goes. But I always thank everyone for sticking with Chasing Legends, because Chasing Legends has been something kind of very fun for me to do. It's tough week to week. Sometimes I can get ahead of myself for a week or two, but it's sometimes really tough to sit here and draw back on the past. It's not that you run out of stories, it's you need the time and place sometimes, or time in the mountains, to have a few things come up, write a few notes down and do that. There's so many things we want to do with this and things beyond this still. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this week. It wasn't a big story time, and we'll kind of throw a little story here at the end. But one of the first times I ever came up into the Quarter Circle U, I was pretty young. We came down the road and someone wanted to show me kind of like, where this was. It had to be around 75, 76. And the place is nothing what it is today. It had become more run down. It looked to me, there wasn't really anybody around at the point. It looked like it just almost had been vacated and just nobody was there. I remember we parked and walked down, and it was quite a long walk, or hike, I guess, at that point. But we walked down, and when I saw it, I was really excited, but it looked almost like ruins. Comparatively, what's in my head, which you never know, talking 40 years later, but what was in my head and what I can remember and what's there now is such a huge difference. So thank you to Chuck and Judy for preserving that, because the first time I saw it, it was very exciting, but it looked just like an old abandoned place just going to fall apart and return to dust. I know we kind of walked around and through it, but I don't remember ever seeing a soul there. So I don't know if it wasn't not in operation, they didn't have a caretaker at the time, or what was going on. There were a lot of issues in the 70s and even into the 80s with the caretakers and a lot of people kind of out there. And I've been very fortunate in life to meet a lot of people who worked and operated and spent time out of there, like Apache Junction. And that was awesome, and knowing Tom Collenborn, who had actually worked at the Quarter Circle U. So remembering it for that early time is just, you picture in your head sometimes of like, wow, yeah, that place was just like an abandoned old, place. I mean, I don't remember seeing a single person. And we kind of did that sneak in, kind of came down, and then we cut over and cut down into the wash and came up the wash on the backside. And because I don't think anybody knew if anybody was out there. And I think we walked up through and then ended up walking back out the road because there was nobody. And maybe just the person, whoever was supposed to be out there, whatever, it was seasonal at the time. And we'll find that out maybe when we talk to Chuck. I don't know who else would have been out there and have some knowledge of that, but maybe we'll kind of do some of that. So, and that's one of those things too, as well as we're doing, is we're always trying to catch up to various people. I know people right now, there's been a lot of people coming into this spring season have been coming out and wanting and saying, hey, I found it, I got this, and they send me pictures and stuff, and I get periodically back to them. It's tough. It's a tough schedule because you have to remember I have what I'm doing. I have work. I have this. I have what I'm doing with Frank. I have what I'm doing on my own. There's all these various projects. I don't always catch everything. So once or twice a week I try to check in, see what you're putting. I always try to go then and kind of look at it and kind of let it seep in. I don't want to just kind of gloss over it and then give you an answer. So because of that, Sometimes I think people think I'm ignoring them. I'm kind of checking things out, but I don't go in there and check everything out daily. It's not a daily thing. And I'm sorry, I apologize, but I have so much time in a day to go through all that stuff. And you have to remember I'm doing my own thing. And there are at least 100 people a year that find the Lost Dutchman in a various 100 different places that are telling me what they found. I try to help when you sometimes not sure what you found and work with people. I try to answer people, but I always want to let people know is like there's just so much going on. And this week was the Treasure Hunt of the Year award, the prep, picking up the awards, getting that accomplished, getting done, kind of the wrap up of that, doing this video. There was an author, Mark Medley out of Toronto, Canada, called me up and wanted to do an interview with me, and I wanted to kind of get that in because it extends to all of us, being able to talk about the superstitions, Dutch hunters, and that type of thing. So I get those kind of things, and I always kind of try to do those because it helps the promotion, helps all my friends out there. I'm not out there trying to make a buck on that stuff, and it doesn't make me feel any more famous. When you look at what we've done over time, a lot of that stuff is just simply to get other people's names in there. Like today, you will think, God, he's thrown so many names of so many people. I'll just throw the name of Jack Sanfelice in there to make Jack smile if he watches this. And so Jack says, well, he threw my name. Buy a book off of Jack. So all these good people are my friends, and because they're my friends, I like to talk, and I always like to help them out. So doing all this. So when I don't get back to people, or if I don't get back to you, or I don't seem as interested, it's just there's so much going on. And when there's 8 or 10 of you at the same time, constantly messaging, emailing, I'm getting so much information, you guys get mixed up. So I have to kind of separate it, and believe it or not, I actually do take and print a lot of that stuff, set it aside, and then I kind of make a file. There's a file, and the file is not because of anything sneaky or that you're super important. It's just trying to keep track of things, and then I go back through and try to look at things. So if you've sent me a lot of stuff, I do have that stuff, and I just kind of set it aside, and it's not meant to publicize or do anything else with it other than give me the time to review it, which a lot of times the review of most stuff is done in my truck. I'm sitting in my truck and I'm just kind of looking through there and just kind of taking it in, and I want that separation, kind of like when I'm reading a book or something. I don't want to read one guy after another or look at what, I want to give everybody fair space to kind of look at what they're doing and kind of see what they're talking about. So I think that covers a lot this week. I think it covers a lot of different points. Like I said, the film project we're working on, some of the last inserts and the last of the editing and so forth. I'm supposed to get some of it to review. Some of it should be just literally in the can. Some of it's still got a little ways out. There's decisions that Trevor has to make on it. It went from an academic film to going to more of a film that most of you would watch, and there's a big difference between those. And I'm slated to put the music, and I've been putting together the music slowly but surely. I want to put something together for him long form that he can just take from, and with all that we'll make sure that gets released, which there'll be parts and bits of that people will be very happy with what I've incorporated. But there's a long process to things. We've both learned that doing stuff for YouTube, which is similar to television in some ways, hurry up and get it out, is very different than long form film. I don't know, he can nod, but I think the film's about hour 45, somewhere around there. It's a little longer. Okay, so who knows what it'll be cut to. The film could be 4.5 hours long if we put as much as we wanted in it. But, you know, we're not going to do that to anybody because it's not like it's an action film. I can't imagine 4.5 hours of just watching people interview. I'd be out. But the film's really well done. I think everybody will like that. So I think everybody's going to be really into the Chasing Legends stuff, and it's getting closer, trust me. I think Trevor's went through the first 5, 6, and he's just looking for OTFs and stuff, and a lot of that to add in. He's nodding right now. So that's almost prepared. And then we have some additional footage we've already pulled together. So those 12 episodes are very near, and that'll be very cool. So all this stuff will be just kind of piled, and we'll probably release it one after the other. I don't want to pile it all together and make it too much. I think Trevor believes the more he puts out there at once, constantly, consecutively, the bigger impact it makes. But I want to give a little space to some stuff. So through this summer, a lot of this stuff will come out. But I want you guys to be able to take it in and digest it. So there it is. Very happy with these plaques. They look great. There will be the 12 named plaques of the Veterans Committee under each one, and they will be in the Goldfield Museum. Hopefully, you know, my dream would be is to take all this and have the Superstition Mountain Museum and the Chamber of Commerce replicate these or get additional ones done and put them up as well in other locations to make it a matter of fact so people recognize these names. I think all these gentlemen that are on these plaques should be recognized and remembered as time goes by for their contributions and what they've done for the Lost Dutchman Mine, the Superstition Mountain history. There's founders of the museum, people that took part in building Goldfield Ghost House. So many people that just deserve recognition and remembrance. So thank you for joining us this week. A little different, low-key, but we always like to change things up in Chasing Legend, right? Don't you agree, Trevor? Chasing it up, he always gives me a thumbs up at times, like things I'm doing right. So I think he's trying to placate me or just, you know, I don't know. So I always think it kind of like I get done and go like, crap, why didn't I, you know? But it should be going as well as it's going, right? So thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to it. You will catch this on Monday, and later in the week, Trevor will be pushing out the actual footage from the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards. We're going to try to do more of that stuff for you guys. So until the next time, until the following Monday or next Monday or however you want to see Monday, because we've been doing it every Monday for a couple years now, I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And this still is Chasing Legends.